Good morning. We're back for some more wildflowers at the clearing. Transitioning into summer now, so we're losing most of the spring flowering things, but there are still some things hanging on, and some that don't bloom until early summer, like false Solomon's seal or Solomon's plume. This beauty right here. There's a lot of this at the clearing. It's got these these loose clusters of white flowers at the end of these kind of arching branches. You can see how the stem zigzags as it moves along. Leaves long, narrow, with these classic parallel veins that you see on plants in the lily family. These flower clusters will turn into clusters of red berries later in the season that will slowly weigh down the plant and will arch right down to the ground, where chipmunks and squirrels and other creatures will slowly eat the berries. So it's a good source of wildlife food as well. But this is Solomon's plume, also called false Solomon's seal. Here at the base of the lodge stairs we have one that everybody loves. This is Herb Robert. It's a true geranium, and I say a true geranium because what most people know as a geranium, the garden flower, is not actually a geranium. I know that seems odd, but it's true. But this is a true geranium, and geraniums have 5 flower petals, pink, small and pink on Herb Robert. Stems are sticky, and the flower ends up producing a little seed pod. You see it right there, that looks at some point in time look to somebody like the bird crane, a crane's bill, and that's another name for the true geraniums, crane's bills. It also has this wonderful fern-like, fine textured fern-like foliage. This one is actually fairly tall. This is about 1.5 feet tall. Typically they're smaller than this. It's a beautiful little wildflower. It can actually become a little weedy. I know in my garden at home I have quite a bit of it, and it creeps into places where I don't necessarily want it. But it's well loved at the clearing, and there's a lot of it right around the lodge. This is one of the great wildflower shows at the clearing every year, and it comes later in spring, early summer. This is Leaf Coreopsis, also called sand coreopsis or tick seed. The coreopsis plants are also called tick seeds. Bright yellow flowers. The petals are kind of notched at the ends on these long kind of wispy stems that move in the slightest breeze. And as you can see in this field here, it's just full right now. It's called lance leaf because I'll just pick one here. The leaves are narrow and long, kind of lance shaped, hence the name Lance Leaf Coreopsis. Likes open areas, tolerates dry, kind of lean soil. So you see it a lot in these Door County meadows, as I call them. But anybody who's been here in mid-June when these are in bloom doesn't forget the look of the homestead meadow in full bloom with the Lance Leaf Coreopsis. Here we have this little guy that most people never see, but it has a great name. This is bastard toadflax. I'm not kidding. Bastard toadflax. Little clusters of white flowers. There's one that's still open right there. Small green leaves. Only gets about at most 1 foot tall, so it's overlooked. It is a semi-parasitic plant. It has green leaves, so it'll photosynthesize and make some of its own carbohydrates. but it will also feed off the roots of other plants, so semi-parasitic. Larry Morrison, who teaches our wildflower class in May, not this year, unfortunately, but other years, and I hope next year, has a funny story about when he teaches his plant, and if he's in a more delicate, or with some more delicate ears in the crowd, he will refer to this not as bastard toadflax, but as the toadflax of indiscriminate parentage. Here we have Columbine with these beautiful kind of nodding flowers, reddish orange, yellow. If you turn it over, yellow in the center, with these kind of spurs, these 5 spurs up at what's really the bottom of the flower, but it appears to be the top. Very showy and very delicate. Long, wiry stem, and then these lobed leaves, 3-parted leaves further down on the stem. You'll often see later in the season a particular insect called the Columbine leaf miner will make trails on the leaves as it feeds in between the leaf tissues. That's later though. Anyway, a wonderful native wildflower, Columbine.